Hello, this is Sheshachalam from Astrology Mysore. So today we are continuing with the series of medical astrology, and today we are understanding Saturn and its significations with regard to medical astrology. From Sun, which is the birth, Namasurya, Chandraya, Mangalaya, Budaya cha, Guru, Shukra, Shanirvyascha, Rahave, Ketave, Namaha. So 9 planets. So Saturn is here. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, seventh planet. So after this, we have only Rahu and Ketu. That means a person who would have traversed from birth, childhood, adolescence, Kaumarya or Kumara Avastha. Then we have the youth, the teenage, and after the teenage, you get the youthfulness. Then you have Jupiter, the middle age. Then the just after the middle age, where you will have your money, your luxury, your conveyances, facilities, your property, etc. Venus enjoying life. Then comes Saturn. We call this as the phase entering into old age. So, Saturn in medical astrology means all those problems which will come in the old age naturally, or if Saturn is unnaturally posited or malefically posited in a person's chart, the person will unnecessarily look old or gain those problems of old age in an early phase of his life, let us say in the middle phase of his life, or sometimes even in the Balyavastha, or what we call as the early phase of his life. I'll give you small examples, trivial examples. You will understand what Saturn is doing in somebody's life. Saturn means the fitness, the straightness, the ability to stand straight upright. Very simple. Normally, when a person would go through wear and tear because of not the person, the bones, the bone joints, the muscle joints, the ligaments, they go through the wear and tear in a long process of aging. The person will start getting into arthritis, rheumatoid arthritis, or osteoporosis. These are all normal age problems. What if these problems come early in age? Like, for example, graying of the hair and a person becoming totally, silverish gray, even in his 30s or in his 25 years old, he started to start getting gray hairs. Saturn. Suddenly, a person starts getting dryness on his skin, allergies, and feels that he's getting the wrinkles on his face. These are all, visible symptoms of Saturn coming into the picture in medical astrology. There are many things which happen internally because of Saturn. I'm just telling you that when age catches up, normally human beings will go through a lot of problems, and these problems are mostly listed in sequentially in a Saturn's period. So when a person goes through a Saturn Mahadasha or a Saturn Antardasha, or if Saturn in his chart is sitting in the 8th house, or is the 8th lord posited very close to the ascendant lord, conjunct, aspected, or is placed in the ascendant itself being the 8th lord, Saturn will have its influence on the native in different phases of life, and it depends when it will become active or not, has to be understood from its placement. It is a little complicated to explain as to when Saturn will become active. So that we'll do it with charts. Saturn very clearly means the joints, all the joints in the body. Joint pain, frozen shoulders, knee problems, osteoporosis, osteoarthritis. Along with Rahu, it will give you rheumatoid arthritis if you do not take care of your diet, nutrition, and regular exercises. Ligaments and tendons, they unnecessarily getting inflammation of the ligaments getting torn because of minor accidents in sports, the back getting compression of your backbone, the L1, L2, L3, L4, the lower lumbar bones getting compressed or getting prolapsed. Because of the prolapse, you will have sciatica. All this is seen from Saturn because it is the primary factor for the legs, the mobility of the legs. Because if you are seeing a person with some deformity in the leg or any limb, particularly leg, because the upper limbs, the hands, are controlled by Mars, whereas the lower limbs, the legs, are controlled by Saturn. So initially, when you are doing the analysis, whether the person is going through sciatica or whether the person is going to varicose veins, whether the person is having knee joint problems, whether there is inflammation, bursitis, or there is a problem in the ankle, or even the sole, the flat sole problems. You have other problems of the toe moving inward, the legs toe moving inward, the growth of an extra bone in your ankle, which will start going, we call them spurs, projected and going down towards your heel, and it causes severe pain. These things can be analyzed from the position of Saturn. So just giving you the karakatvas of Saturn. Don't think that I'm going to explain how it's going to happen, because all that has to be seen from individual horoscopes, and there are many horoscopes which can be explained in detail and which will be done in the oncoming classes, forthcoming classes. So teeth, nails, hair, spleen in particular, degeneration of various tissues and organs in the body is all related to Saturn. So, if Saturn is one of the main important signifier for degeneration, it should also be seen where Saturn is placed in a chart when we are preparing a patient or we are thinking of any organ transplant into a patient, because the tissues have to match and the tissues have to cooperate. That is, it should not be rejected. So the more the rejection, the more the steroids or other medication will be given to the patient. The easy and compatible tissues, the more easy the transplant. So we need to see Saturn and its role in recovery and fast action of the organ, good usage of the organ. Like for example, if a person has gone through kidney transplant, whether the kidney is functioning properly or it has come back to its normal functioning, because it is a foreign kidney coming into your body. So you need to see whether it works or not from the position of Saturn. Let us come to the mental level now, the emotional level. Saturn can make a person go through deep depression and make him emotionless and feel very hard as to why should I live this life, what is there in this life. So this cynicism, pessimism, going through hard negativity about his or her own self, about the forthcoming life, losing motivation, losing hope, or getting into hopelessness is also one karakatva of Saturn for the emotional level. Very impressed, very important this is, because if we do not understand what Saturn and Moon are doing in a horoscope, then we will not understand where this person is actually going, whether he is thinking too much, or whether he is getting into any mental problems, going into OCDs, negative OCDs, going into deep depression, whether he has to be sent for psychological counseling, or he would have require psychiatric medicine. It has to be evaluated by the doctor. But as an astrologer, we can find out the intensity of the problem and then suggest. So our role is here to suggest, not to predict the whether he has to take the medicine or stop the medicine. If somebody asks, because it keeps coming to me, that I have been taking this antidepressant from many years, I would want to leave it, sir. Shall I leave it? Shall I stop it? You are not, as an astrologer, having any authority in the field of medicine. So we don't never go into it. So we go through the chart and can tell when the recovery can happen, and when he should go to the doctor and get a re-evaluation of the medicines and see whether the dosage can be tapered. That's all. So Saturn, the nature of Saturn itself is known as Shanaischara. Shani and Chara. Shanaischara means slow moving. So the concept is that when my Guruji was teaching me what Saturn is, so it is like when you enter into Saturn with a problem, Saturn is not going to solve it. He'll welcome the problem, and he'll take the problem and keep it somewhere and lock it. So that means he is not going to solve your problem when you are entering in the dasha of Saturn with a problem. And if Saturn is negatively posited in the 8th house or the 12th house, the problem will become chronic. So when you are in the Jupiter Mahadasha, that is a dasha in which lethargy catches up and people will get into a lot of problem, because they would have overindulged into unnecessary eating, drinking, smoking, unnecessary things. If that has happened, then if you have got the blood pressure, the diabetes, these are all Jupiter related problems, one of the problems. So if you take it into the Saturn Mahadasha, walk into it with a diabetes problem, Saturn will tell, please welcome for another 19 years, you will have to take your medications for diabetes. So do not expect that Saturn will cure your disease or cure your difficulty immediately. It might make it chronic. So if you are in the Jupiter dasha and you are going to enter the Saturn dasha in another 2 years, mend yourself, mend your routine, mend your uh, daily chores of life. See that you can come out of as much as problems as you can, so that you enter into Saturn with less burden. Saturn itself is a burden. So if you enter with your own burden, Saturn will add some more, and it will tell, okay, I have added weights now. So yes, you need to walk with your weights. So chronic diseases it can give, but with all this, Saturn is never a maraka. Saturn is never a maraka in any chart. He is the one who tells, if you are happy, live happy longer and along with a long life. If you are sad, live with a long life. If you are in trouble and you are in suffering, live with a long life. If you are in pain, live with a long life. We don't want that. We don't want, fear, trouble, anxiety, tension, stress, pain, fevers, all sorts of negative problems in our life, and then live a long life along with it. So then what should we do? We need to come out of these problems, because Saturn is going to promise longevity. This is one thing what Saturn gives. If it is posited, even in a bad position, Saturn will give you a long life. So what it is going to do is that Saturn will give you a long life if it is aspecting the eighth house, being in the eighth house with the eighth lord or something like that. And then it will add on suffering. So we do not want to go through suffering. So abnormal practices in life with regard to physical practices, particularly the intimate sexual practices, will unnecessarily give problems in health. So Saturn can give diseases pertaining to that if you are not hygienic. The hygiene has to be practiced. So dementia, so we are going into the problems of the mental capability. So dementia is a problem where a person will lose his memory power. So absenteeism, they keep suddenly losing their immediate memory, and it comes like an hallucination, like a dream, that something I was thinking, but I'm not able to get it. So this happens on old age, but nowadays we are able to see that because of bad practices and bad routine, people are getting it early. So let us go into the remedies. When you are in a particular indulgence, or you are in a particular practice, and you come to know that you are overdoing it, or if somebody advises you that you should stop it, you are overdoing it, any indulgence or any practice or any habit, you should know when to stop, and you should know when to say no to something. If you are trying to please somebody in a party and you are going to have an extra drink, or if you are pleasing somebody in a party and you are taking an extra serving of something which the doctor has clearly told that you shouldn't go into, it is a loss for your health, and Saturn is not going to help you there. If you should know that you should be strict, and you should know that you should be able to clearly bifurcate between your friendships, your social associations, your cravings, all that on one side, and the pain what you will suffer if you indulge into these practices. So there are many practices in life, like over talking over the phone, unnecessary food habits, unnecessary sleep habits, eating stale food, eating cold food, eating directly from the refrigerator, binging at night. These bad habits will not be entertained by Saturn, and Saturn will immediately give you difficulties. The other bad habits are postures. Posture is the most important habit which you need to follow correctly to make, as a remedial measure, to make Saturn happy. Sit upright, keep your backbone straight. Do not unnecessarily sit on the bed with your laptop or your phone and start doing whatever you are doing. Don't sit on the bed and work. Don't sit on couches where you do not have a grip or a hard surface from where you can get up. So these things can give problems of your backbone, and also it can give problems to your neck. So all muscles and bones related to your backbone and your, starting from your neck till your tailbone, is controlled by Saturn partially, and most of it is controlled by Saturn. So be a little careful with regard to the posture. So the best remedy for Saturn is yogasana. Practice yoga. Ask your doctor whether you can do the bending exercises of yoga. Simply don't go into the yogasana directly, because I have told you. So take precaution, do yoga, and you will be out of the diseases of Saturn. So chew your food and be slow when you are eating, because Saturn very clearly tells that if you give time to chew and swallow your food, and you take time, slowly you eat your food, Saturn will not give any problem in the digestion. You gulp your food, you get problems of the colon, you get problems of the rectum, you get problems of the anus, you get problems of the fissures, the fistulas, and many other problems of that region, because Mooladhara Chakra is controlled by Saturn. And Saturn is an dry, airy, and cold planet. So that is for the nature of Saturn. So thank you very much for today's class.